Purpose Pool Fund, Mr. Edson Niwamanya.
Yes, good morning once again. So I'll talk a bit about myself. I started out the social entrepreneurship journey in 2018 at the Social Innovation Academy. So being there taught me very many things about the spirit of starting a social business, wanting to create social change, and then also the struggle that social entrepreneurs have in trying to raise capital. And that is why after my journey did not go as many of you know, starting a business, I decided to venture into this space. So the Social Innovation Academy was offering young people the opportunity to start a business, training. But then we noticed that after supporting our entrepreneurs, many of them struggle to access capital. You've been hearing the big ticket sizes, and I like that Daniel pointed out the gap in the market for smaller ticket sizes, especially for early stage social entrepreneurs. And that is the gap that our fund is trying to cover. So we call it the purpose pool because the word purpose is very important for us. We invest in businesses that are trying to create social change. So a bit about our model. So our model is a blend of many things that we have seen that are working, okay? We do not like to copy and paste, but then pick what's working and then use it within the context. So one of our methodologies is we do peer selection, and this has worked very well within our fund because we started working with enterprises from the Social Innovation Academy. So the entrepreneurs we have invested in know who is going to be successful or who is already having the best practices and hence participate in choosing whom we invest into next. Then we give, of course, smaller ticket sizes, 5,000 to 50,000. Our pilot started in 2020, and to date we've invested in 6, about 67,000 US dollars. And then they pay back using a revenue share approach. So we take 5% of their monthly revenue until they have paid back a 2.5 multiple. When people hear 2.5 multiple, most entrepreneurs think this is really expensive, this is worse than loans, right? But many of them still take it and still come to us, and I will let you know why. And then lastly, we invest in social businesses. Towards the end of my presentation, I want to talk about what we need to disrupt in the investment space. And yeah, so this is our model. So our funders, so we run what we call a revolving fund, okay? And one of the areas we are trying to disrupt is the granting space. So very many funders, especially grant makers, are trying to shift away from traditional grants because they are not sustainable. You've heard about that from the previous speakers. So we work with mostly philanthropies who invest into the pool. And our goal is that we can raise a certain amount of money that the returns from the investments can run the fund itself, including technical assistance, which is a critical part of our investment. So the funders invest into the pool, and then the pool distributes the money to the social ventures that we deem fit. But then it's a community-based approach, so each of the people within the ecosystem have a role to play. So the funders bring in capital, but are also expected to bring in some value-added activities. The entrepreneurs are expected, of course, to pay back, to report, but then also to participate in choosing whom we invest into next. Okay, these are their responsibilities. And of course, our part as the people running this fund is to create the environment, the administration, and then also, most importantly, offer the technical support. Next slide. Yes, so our model is unique in a way that we use a 2-month period in order to understand the businesses we want to invest in. So we have what we call a qualification. One of the areas I think financing needs to disrupt is long due diligence times that have been mentioned, 8 months. I think they are too expensive. Honestly, some of those even spend about 20,000 US dollars, and that money can create significant change. So for us, we use a 2-month period to prepare the entrepreneurs by taking them through financial modules to understand their finances, business, and then impact measurement. So one other area I think we need to disrupt is impact washing. Very many general partners or people that are running impact funds, even in this room, use the word impact to raise capital, and yet do not really consider impact when investing. They are only looking at the returns. I think that needs to change. Next slide. So this is our aim. Our model, we have tested it over 3 years. Very many things have not worked, to be honest. But also we have learned very many things that have worked. So we intend on creating what we call purpose pools. So we are currently in conversation with a number of organizations who want to replicate our model, and we support them to do that. Next slide. So this is our success or our experiment, results from our experiment, which ends actually by the end of this year, when we hope to really raise bigger amounts of capital to invest in more entrepreneurs. So we've made 6 investments, and the payback is around 5,000 US dollars. And it's critical to note that that has been mostly from the 3 entrepreneurs, because we had the 1-year grace period, and the ones that we actually invested into last year are only about to start paying back. That's the average compounded annual growth rate of our enterprises, about 71%. Our enterprises have gone on to create over 80 jobs and actually be able to raise over 217,000 in both grant capital and then also investment capital. So, and finally, I just want to re-emphasize some of the areas I think we need to disrupt. So one is due diligence. Yeah. So I know many of you here are financiers, and I'll speak very directly. So the time you spend in due diligence is time of the founders, and many times these entrepreneurs are going to struggle. Instead of the due diligence, offer support in that time. And then second, impact washing that I've touched on a bit. You need to be specific, and if you're supporting impact entrepreneurs, it is critical to support them to learn how to measure their impact. And then second is, of course, granting. I'm happy to hear that the Danish Refugee Council started an impact fund as well, or is running a pilot. I think more grant makers need to explore such avenues in order to expand and create sustainable impact. And then I think we need to offer real value to entrepreneurs. So the kind of entrepreneurs we work with are very early stage. So one of our initial mistakes is that in the first 2 years, we threw money at entrepreneurs and started hoping they are going to repay and started hoping they are going to grow. It did not work. It did not go well. So what we did is we changed the approach. We started offering them more time, more support. And in that time, we have seen them rapidly grow at stages or at states we did not even expect prior. So when we make investments, especially at the early stage, smaller ticket sizes, it is critical for us to actually offer them real value. And then the aspect of sustainability. One other thing we decided to do is for the fund to be fully sustainable, because we actually work with grant capital to create this impact fund, the returns from the investments actually come back into investing into the technical assistance, which is actually very expensive. Yeah, those of you who run funds, you know, getting skilled people to work with these entrepreneurs is very expensive. So I think a very big portion of returns need to go to actually creating value, especially because the topic and the theme for today is access to social capital, to investment capital, impact capital. It is critical that we focus on impact as we do on returns. So lastly, I think we need to go away from the copy and paste methodology. So many of us are very well aware of the methodologies that work in the West. You know, copy the VC and other approaches. I hope I'm not attacking anyone. But then I think we need to be more disruptive in our approaches. And this is the move we have decided to take. Most of these modules we have seen work, and we are basically putting together our mixture or our category to see what is the result. So I think I encourage the investors in this room to be more disruptive, to challenge the existing, and to create solutions, local financing solutions that actually work beyond the copy and paste. Once again, my name is Edson Niwamanya. I work with Relevant Ventures and the Impact for Breakfast Network. Thank you very much.